So, this might be my dumbest challenge run today. We all know Miitopia isn't hard, so I made it hard in many different ways, which I won't list off, you can't make me. So, why make it so that you can't use sprinkles? They're a nice, easy, quick way to heal in case you don't want to waste a turn in the safe spot, so they should in theory be pretty essential to beating the game. Well, let's find out. Can you beat Miitopia without sprinkles? Aight, so since Greenhorn is the first world of the game, you haven't had enough time to kill enough enemies to get more sprinkles. The more sprinkles you have, the more the game relies on you using them, so because you barely have any sprinkles at this point of the game, and for basically the entirety of Greenhorn, the fights weren't that much different from usual. This one is absolutely no exception. I also feel like something which led to Greenhorn as a whole just being overall piss easy was also the fact that I had very bulky teammates in the forms of a warrior and Bobstar. This fight encapsulates this perfectly. Aside from Polly dying near the end, this was just another golem. Just overall not problematic thanks to my warrior and Bobstar carrying me immensely. This too, I mean, what'd you expect at this point? For it to be hard? On to next door. I don't know how, but the gold snurp managed to give me more problems than all of Greenhorn. For whatever reason, these things have insanely high damage outputs and managed to kill my weak mage, weak scientist, and weak myself really easily. I also don't really get why I just went with my normal next door teammates for this run, since 3 of my 4 team members are really frail and the only non-frail teammate is my healer. So, as a result, pretty much every next door boss killed me at least a couple times. For the first time ever, I had to complete more levels to be more leveled up for this boss in particular. Usually this doesn't really happen in next door, this boss specifically, considering it's among the easiest bosses in the entire game. Usually I can breeze through this game really easily until Cockaton or Realm of the Fae, where shit just goes from 0 to 100 really freaking quick. But no, this time surprisingly, no. The same thing I said for the Cobra applies to the 2 paintings. Killed me a couple times before I was able to finish them off. This is the only next door boss I was actually able to first try in this run, surprisingly enough. Normally I can first try pretty much everything in the game aside from like Cockaton and everything onwards. Pretty much I'm able to first try the first half of the game. Nothing else really happened. Pharaoh is more of an endurance test than anything else. This fight took me pretty long, but I wasn't ever at a risk of dying thanks to me just being really safe spot spamming. On to Realm of the Fae. So, Realm of the Fae. This world is usually among the easiest or hardest in runs, there is no exception. It's mostly on the easy side, but defenseless does exist, so yeah. Without further ado, let's go. This fight was relatively easy. While it does hit pretty hard and can chip away at you slowly, keyword slowly, me and my very DPS-based team managed to kill it before it even became a nuisance to deal with. Next! Nice, easy, chill fight. No issues at all. Next! This boss does hit pretty hard, but nothing too bad. It can easily be taken down without any issues. Next! Now, by this point, I was running on life autopilot. I was really ready to just obliterate anything in my path since everything thus far has been piss easy. This... well, it's harder than everything thus far. Still not bad at all, though. Because I wasn't really paying attention, this boss managed to take down 2 of my team members, which were the ones who hated tomatoes, which were, might I add, the easy ones for the boss to take down. But in contrast, like a dumbass, he kept healing the ones who love tomatoes, aka me and Luca. Because of this, I won really easily because instead of the boss attacking me, he healed me? Like, what? Somehow, I have no idea how I avoided this thus far, but this is the first battle I use Science's Horseplay in. Not much else of note. I feel like the fact that the protagonist gets to stack up food buffs throughout the game plays a big role in why Realm of the Fae is as easy as it sometimes is. The bosses treat all of your team as if they had all the same stats of basically your allies for Realm of the Fae, when in all reality the protagonist is far more leveled, especially in food buffs because of this. And it basically makes you nigh impossible, which plays into the easy factor of this world a lot more. But then again, I like to grind relationship levels here, so in all reality, I have an even bigger advantage in the form of the sometimes level 40 relationship I stack up from the second level of the world. Anyway, what was I on to? Oh yeah, Frog was really easy, on to Cockaton. Alright, so Cockaton is usually the hardest part of Miitopia challenge runs. This time is no exception. I'll just get straight to the point. We got a lot to unpack here. Here we go. This fight, while hard, has nothing special about it. I'm honestly struggling to say anything about this boss right now. Next! Oh my god, this was so ungodly difficult. The hardest part is the enormous damage output of this thing. Unless you safe spot like a madman, you don't stand a single chance against this thing. You have to get Mage's Horseplay at the very beginning to quickly knock down around 10% of its HP, and then safe spot like a madman again. It works really well, surprisingly enough. This fight is mostly just luck, honestly. You need to be lucky to get Horseplay at the beginning, and then you need to get lucky enough to not have the Cerberus take down your weaker Miis so you can heal them, and use them to heal if they're clerics. Overall, just absolutely one of the hardest bosses in the run, requires a ton of luck and a ton of the game being nice to you. Next! This fight is pretty hard because of the clever imps this boss has. These things already add a lot more damage to the demon's already pretty good damage output. Luckily, in my successful attempt, which was also my second attempt, I purposefully went for the imps first without using anything but basic attacks to save my MP for Horseplay, which I did get around halfway through the fight. Otherwise, this isn't too hard, just the imps are absolute annoyances. Usually, I just hyper all my teammates and kill this thing in turn 3. This time, because I don't have any hypers, I had to suffer through this with safe spotting and occasionally dealing damage because I constantly had to heal in the safe spot. This boss isn't hard as much as it is an endurance test. This thing really likes to spam Fire Breath. Thanks to this, you basically have to safe spot like a madman throughout the entire fight. Not much else to know. This fight always revolves around one thing: whether your Mii's face gets stolen. If his face does get stolen, then it takes ages. Otherwise, you can knock him down pretty quickly. This time, he did steal my Mii's face, which led to this being a really long endurance test of a fight. Because Krina and frickin' Rin are frail as all hell. Okay, that doesn't really apply to Krina that much because I stuffed her with food, remember the Fae? But Rin was so goddamn weak, and she just could not get enough damage out to make my expectations for how long I wanted this fight to be. She could not match those. Anyway, on to Traveler Sub quests. Disappointment in the game of life. So, the skyscraper is always hit or miss in challenge runs. In once it's hard, and in once it's easy. Yeah, great script writing there, Daniel. Let's go. If this guy does the rock attack more than once, you're done. If he doesn't, you win. Pretty simple to explain, when in reality, this is among the hardest bosses in the game. It's very similar to the Cerberus in that aspect. It really relies on RNG for its difficulty, and that's absolutely never fun. Next! Easy and simple. Next. Easy, even without hypers, which is kind of surprising because I usually always play this fight with hypers. Next. Now, something I say all the time when I have to cover this boss in challenge runs is the fact that I always kill the frog before the tadpoles. Because the tadpoles always have insane HP, it obviously happened here too. which is not surprising in the slightest, to me, honestly. The Darkest Lord is always a dice roll in runs. In Defenseless, for example, it was the hardest in the run, while in the Mono Job run, I took it down in turn 3. This time, while hard, only the left hand and main body were challenging. Let's go. Left hand is best described as a safe spot limbo. For this hand, I picked Maria, Luca, and Haruka to deal with it, and to be completely honest, I picked the best teammates for this. Since the left hand only has 2 attacks per turn, in most cases it only attacks 2 Miis for below 40 damage each. This number is important. Since my safe spot healed 40, I would put the 2 Miis that got hit into the safe spot, heal them back up to full since 40 is more than the amount they got hit by, and attack with the Mii that didn't get hit because, yeah. Rinse and repeat, and the hand went down after a pretty long limbo around the safe spot that lasted 15 turns total. The main body can normally be totally cheesed with hypers, which we don't have access to, so automatically, the fight lasted almost double its regular length. It was mostly hard since the Metals and Darker Lord combined to deal a lot of damage to my team, but since I had 2 healers and a safe spot, I was able to almost always heal up to full HP for half my team, and leave half around the halfway point, which is around 50 HP. I was able to survive the 1 HP attack pretty well surprisingly, and with that, the challenge is complete. Thanks for watching.